In more than 20 years of practicing medicine, I've collected interesting facts about your body. Join me on a tour head to toe of
Your body is interesting.
We all know what a brain looks like, but what does a brain feel like? What is its consistency? The impression most people have is from the media where you've seen a brain floating in a bottle of formaldehyde. Now, formaldehyde makes the consistency of tissues rubbery, such that if you were to shake the jar, the brain would indeed bounce off the walls. However, the way your brain really is a consistency somewhere between Jell-O and an egg yolk, very much like a jellyfish. Now, given that, why is it then when you were to whack your head, you wouldn't have immediate significant brain damage? Have you ever noticed that when you hold a glass of water and you tilt it, the water level always stays the same? Well, imagine that you're on a cruise ship and you're in the pool floating on a raft. As the boat tilts one way, the water level in the pool tilts exactly the other. But in net, the raft remains motionless. Well, your brain is like the raft. Our brains are floating in a chamber of water, and the center is hollow and is also filled with fluid. Now, the function of a nervous system is to coordinate all the far-reaching corners of a multicellular organism, except for the marine red sponge. It's multicellular, but it has no nervous system. In fact, if you were to run the sponge's body through a mesh, a screen, and break it up into 1,000 tiny pieces, it would actually reassemble itself and return on with its life, sort of like that 1950s science fiction movie, The Blob. A cockroach is a more complex multicellular organism. It has a nervous system, but it can live headless for weeks. And the only reason it dies is that it can't drink. Anyhow, humans are far more complex. We need our head. The brain regulates everything below it. It's our much more developed cerebral cortex, the layer wrapped around the basic brainstem, that's more developed in humans and gives us our superiority above lower animals. Chimps may have 97% of matching DNA, but it's those extra 3% that gave us our big brains and put man on the moon. Now, it's a good thing our brains are so advanced. The growth of knowledge has been exponential, not linear. There was a time when people neither knew how to write or read. Then they did, and then there were libraries. TV showed up, and now we've got the internet where you can access information without even leaving home. It's estimated that the growth of the body of knowledge doubles every 10 years. Be happy you're done with school. Students vary in their capacity to learn. The average IQ is more than 100, but at 140, a genius. All geniuses are not alike. Albert Einstein was a genius. However, he couldn't even speak until he was nearly 4. In fact, he never even learned how to drive. But he did come up with the theory of relativity, He felt that imagination was more important than knowledge. What led him to his theory on relativity was that he imagined what it would look like to be traveling as fast as the speed of light. So how is this complex brain of ours built? How is it wired? There's an expression, "you are your brain," not that image that you see in the mirror. The various regions of your brain are specialized. For example, on the side of your brain, there's a strip running from the top down to the side in the middle that governs sensation, called the sensory strip. And just parallel to that is another strip called the motor strip. Now both the sensory strip and the motor strip are organized in groups, head followed by arm followed by legs. And each section, each point in that strip has a nerve leaving it, going to the corresponding part of your body. The result is a functional picture of yourself pasted on the side of your head. The name of that little person, that little man, is the homunculus, which is Latin for little man. That's the real you. There is a little picture of yourself pasted on both the left side and the right side of your brain. Here's a good way to envision it. You know what needlepoint is, where you start with a piece of fabric with a picture drawn on it, and then you sew colored thread into the picture and fill it in. Now in actual needlepoint, you would then tie off the strings at the back of the fabric and cut them. But imagine if you left each strand long, very long, and you had this needlepoint of yourself on the side of your brain, and these long threads, which are the nerves, go down your neck to the corresponding parts of your body. So for example, if you look at the bottom of the strip, where there's the foot, a nerve goes from the foot on the homunculus to your actual foot, and so on. Consequently, if you step on a tack, first of all, your brain localizes that there's something painful going on at your foot, and so that impulse travels up from your foot to your brain in the homunculus in the sensory strip at the bottom where the foot is. And then it begins to make a U-turn. The signal goes to the corresponding part on the adjacent motor strip, in this case the foot, and then turns around and starts going down back to your foot, down through your neck and through your body, all the way to your foot. And you have a reflex where you pull your foot away from the painful stimulus, called a reflex arc. Now, you'll notice in the diagram that the nerves, as they go through your neck, cross over to the other side. So it's really the right homunculus that's going to the left side of your body and vice versa. That's why when someone has a stroke, it affects the opposite side of their body. If they have a stroke on the right side of their brain that affects the leg, then it would be their left leg that's paralyzed. So with this map of the human brain, you can determine exactly where a stroke occurred in a brain without a CAT scan or an MRI. So for example, if you have a numb arm, it's going to be a stroke in the sensory strip in the center, in the arm region. If it was your left arm, then that's a scar on the right side. Incidentally, MRIs used to be originally called NMRs, nuclear magnetic resonance imaging. And they changed the name because people had a lot of anxiety over the word nuclear, as in nuclear bomb.